Hey, good morning to the church, whoever else is watching. How you doing? Good to be with you. This morning I just want to talk about something that has been a major influence on my life. My last sermon, I guess you could call it a sermon. I talked about my dad and his heart problems and how they've made him a better Christian, all that good stuff. But today I'm going to talk about something, the other side, my mum. And for those of you that don't know, my mum has Huntington's disease. And to give you an understanding of what Huntington's disease is, it's a neurological disease which you inherit from your parents. And children of parents who have Huntington's disease, they have a 50% chance of inheriting the disease themselves. And I just want to set the record straight because I know many of you are familiar with Huntington's disease and just how debilitating it is. Neither myself nor my sister Kate have Huntington's disease. We were both tested before we were babies and we both came back negative. So I'm very grateful for that. That is not in my future, and I don't have to carry that burden around like many people do that have parents who have Huntington's disease, of whether or not they have the gene themselves, and symptoms might start to appear somewhere down the line. I don't have to live with that. Thank God for that. I'm very grateful. People with Huntington's disease, they typically appear healthy right up until about the age of 40 when symptoms start to set in. And once those symptoms do set in, they'll live totally normal, healthy lives right up until 40. But once those symptoms kick in, it's just a slow breaking down of the body over the next sort of 25 to 30 years, where like your ability to control your movements starts to leave, your ability to walk is taken away, slurred speech starts to set in to the point where you won't even be able to talk anymore, mental health problems set in. And in the very late stages of Huntington's disease, which is what my mum is in now, you become completely incapable of doing anything for yourself. To describe the state that my mum is in today, she is unable to walk, she's unable to speak, she's unable to think, she has very limited ability to recognize people anymore. She wouldn't even really recognize me anymore. I describe my mum today as a baby. That Huntington's disease has literally turned her back into the functionality of a newborn baby. That's how I would describe my mum today. Now, having said all that, I think that most people would think that that sounds incredibly depressing and what an awful thing to have to go through. And there is a lot of truth to that. I am very grateful to God that that is not my future. I'm not a carrier of the Huntington's gene. As far as I can tell, I will live a healthy, happy life. As of today, I'm totally healthy. I couldn't feel better. But my mum was not so lucky. She is a carrier of the disease, and I have other relatives, including her brother, my uncle, who is also a carrier of the disease. I met a girl she was in a Bible college in America, and she came over here to do an internship, and she saw my mum and recognized straight away that she has Huntington's disease. And she said to me, her dad also has it, and he was in the late stages of Huntington's disease. He's since passed on. But she told me that she didn't know if she was a carrier of the gene herself, 50-50 chance. And I didn't really know how to respond to that. I just sat, prayed for her, wished her all the best, and she seems to be doing well. She's married now, but man, I really just, for her sake, well, God's will is God's will, but for her sake, I really do hope and pray that Huntington's disease is not in her future. Pray for her. Hope she's doing well. My mum, she's a strong Christian woman, and I often ask the question, I think many people do, why would my mum believe in a God that would allow something like Huntington's, I can't even say the word now, Huntington's disease to exist in her body, yet she still chooses to follow him. This morning, I just want to give an overview of my mum's life, her journey, her walk with God. I want to show how she's had a huge impact on those around her. I describe my mum nothing short of an inspiration. I feel so lucky to have had her as a mum, and she has achieved so much in her life in spite of her disease, more than most people I think could achieve. She did it with Huntington's disease. Um, she has her bad days, but I've never seen my mum give up, not once. And just to start off, I just want to go through some pictures that my sister collaborated for my mum's Christmas present, which just shows a clear progression of her illness. How she started out very healthy young girl, healthy young woman, and then the symptoms start to sit in. They say a picture paints 1,000 words.
Alrighty, here we go. I got to talk somewhat fast just to show a progression of Mum's life, but here she is early on in her life. I got these photos set for about 10 seconds at a time. Mum, just a healthy young girl. You wouldn't have any idea that she was a carrier of the Huntington's gene. There she is with her brothers as a teenager, and totally healthy. I think this next photo is it. There it is. There's mum and dad, probably around about the time they met, and the dad, they're looking like a good couple. I'm not gonna lie, but there's mum, totally healthy. There's them at the races. Again, mum looking good, just looking like a young woman, young successful woman, which she was, and she's no idea that she's a carrier of Huntington's disease. Here they are in Austria skiing. I think this is before they were married, but yeah, no, it is. Yeah, there it is, because there's mum on the wedding day with my grandmother in the backyard next to the pond where I used to run around as a little kid. There they are on their wedding day. Mum looking beautiful, dad looking goofy with a stupid haircut, but what are you gonna do? Those glasses are terrible, dad. There's mum again, just a healthy, vibrant woman, and you wouldn't know that Huntington's is lurking in the background. There's the day I was born, and that's my sister Kate being a nuisance as usual. Just as usual, there we are as babies. I just had to chuck it in because I think I was a pretty cute baby, so I just had to chuck it in. Couldn't resist. There we are. There's I don't know what's going on there, but we look a bit traumatized. But yeah, mum, just very active mum, and yeah, this was around about the time that I started to notice, even at my young age, that something was slightly different with mum, just health wise. And here you can see it in her smile. Her facial expressions around about this time started to become less and less because the Huntington's was just starting to really have its effect. But here we are skiing, and mum skied pretty late on, like even with pretty severe Huntington symptoms, she was still skiing and enjoying it. And there she is, just getting after it and living her life, you know what I mean? Not going to let anything hold her back because she's got the Holy Spirit. There she is. You can see in her smile, just less facial expressions. There's me looking chubby with a stupid smile on my face. What am I doing? There's mum getting her citizenship. There's me with a shocking haircut. Oh my gosh, and a chunky monkey. Yeah, bloody hell. What do we got next? This is mum and dad. This is where they got married, actually, at 2008. This is they're back in 2008 in England when we just went on a little trip. There we are again, and mum's in the mobility scooter because Huntington's is very much starting to have an impact, but she still knows what's going on. She can still talk, she can still smile. There we are. There's me and Kate. I'm bloody 16 years old there with way too much hair in my head. 16, far out. Where's this? Oh, this is at my auntie's funeral, and as you can see, mum has severely deteriorated. She's full time in the wheelchair at this point. This picture's 2015, I think, with our old dog Muffin. very heavily reliant on other people now to survive. This is mum. We took her on a cruise, a little holiday with Dad, Kate, and Joe, looking good. Here she is again on her cruise ship, but you can see in the face no expression, not much idea of what's going on around her either. This one's very recent. This is before our last Christmas, before Dad's heart surgery. We just got a nice family picture. This is Mum on Christmas Day. That's just been, and as you can see, just a blank look on her face. But God bless my mum. And again, we're just with her. Dad's actually in hospital at this point, having surgery. But yeah, we're just with Mum, just giving her a good day. This is her on her birthday. Again, a blank look on her face, but we just do our best for her, and she still laughs and smiles, even though she doesn't really know what's going on. I think this is the final picture, but this was her most recent birthday, 67 years old, and we're just enjoying our time with Mum, and we just want to give her the best life possible in her final remaining years on this earth. But yeah, there you go. This is that was the progression of Mum's illness. I think it paints a pretty clear picture that she was totally healthy, when she was born, and then right up until about the age of 40, it became a slow deterioration into what she is today. And I'll share a video later. It will give you a much better picture of what Mum is today. But yeah, thank you for watching that.
Now, upon seeing these pictures, I think many of you are wondering, why would God allow such a thing like this to happen? Where is God in all of this? And I've often questioned this myself, and I want to do my best to answer that question. Why would such a curse be put on someone, if God is all loving, all powerful? I have other relatives, my uncle, my mum's brother, he's a carrier of the disease as well. What is the purpose in this? And bottom line, I have to start at the very beginning. In the book of Genesis, in the Bible, the very beginning, the bottom line is the fall. Okay, sin entered the world when humanity chose to disobey God, and from that comes death. God said to Adam and Eve in Genesis 2:17, he said, "But you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will die. You will certainly die." Okay, and what happens? The serpent shows up, tells a lie to Adam and Eve that they will become like God if they eat from that tree, eat that fruit, and the rest is history. Okay, sin enters. A curse has been placed over the whole world. It's so clear. Okay, sin, which is humanity's arch enemy, it is the genuine reason for everything bad in the world. It really is. Diseases such as cancer, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, heart disease, blindness, deafness, okay, you name it, whatever it is. This is all a result of sin. It really is. Sin is a cause. Evil, such as murder, slander, jealousy, theft, greed, lying, all came about at the very beginning when man chose to disobey God. Absolutely everything. But does this mean that God doesn't love us? Does this mean that what is currently broken cannot be fixed? Of course not. Of course not. God is still working throughout all this brokenness, and I want to show just how my mum is a clear example of this. Huntington's disease was the deck of cards that my mum has been dealt. This is her current story today. She sits in Bernadette Care Home out at Mount Maunganui next to Bayfair. She's completely reliant upon other people to survive. She's no longer able to understand where she is, who she is, who others are, or to be honest, even who God is. Okay, her soul is loved and protected by God. She was a Christian prior to Huntington's disease taking over, but her soul is still trapped in this broken human body, and one day it will be released back to God, where she will be given a brand new body that never suffers from brokenness or decay. Growing up, I used to cry when I would see my mum getting more and more sick. I would pray, I would often pray for a cure. And I would even find myself getting very angry at my mum in my early teens when I would see her symptoms start to kick in, because I didn't want to believe that she was going down this path. I didn't want to believe that my mum was sick and dying. It was very, very painful for me in my early teens because I didn't understand it. Um, Now I can safely say that I do understand it, and I will continue to explain. My mum is a first generation Christian. She's the only one in her family out of all her siblings and both her parents who believes in God. She came to God when she knew she had Huntington's disease because she needed to have hope on the path that she was about to undertake. And I hate to say this, but one of the main causes of death in people with Huntington's disease is suicide. The percentage of people that take their own lives when they find out they have the disease is very, very high. If you had no hope, you didn't know Jesus existed and he's real, his promises are true, and all you had in your future was a slow descent into losing virtually every single bit of human function. People with late stage Huntington's disease, which is what my mum has now, they cannot talk, they cannot eat, they cannot think, they cannot get up, they cannot take themselves to the bathroom. They're totally dependent upon other people to survive. Everything that makes them function as a human in society is taken away. So you wonder why people might decide to end their life early upon finding out that Huntington's disease is what's going to be in their future. Okay, you don't judge these people that do this and say that they're weak, because that is a scary, scary, very scary thing to face if you were doing it alone and you didn't know that God is real, very real, and loves you and will give you the strength to make it through. Okay? A lot of people cannot handle that, and I don't blame them for it. My mum had hope in Jesus. She knew the truth, and God has sustained her this whole time. And when you choose to put your trust in God, He will provide a way through the storm, and amazing things can happen. I always get asked a question. People always come up to me and say, "How's your mum? How's she doing?" And you know, they always have very, very concerned looks on their faces, and I always give them the same answer. Mum is great. Like, she's absolutely great. You know, I smile when I say that. I really do. And if you ever get a chance to visit her, even though she doesn't necessarily know what's going on or who might be visiting, she will laugh. She will reach out and try to grab your hand. She will smile at you when you smile at her. Um, in all my life, as long as I've known my mum, I've only ever seen her feel sorry for herself once. And she would have been about 48 years old at the time. I would have been probably 12. I would have been 12 at the time. And mum was doing chores and she fell over. This was because Huntington's disease, the symptoms were starting to take over quite heavily. She was doing chores, she fell over and hurt herself. And I saw her walk past me, and she went and sat on the couch and she started crying. And that's a horror. I didn't like seeing my mum like that. Okay, and my little 12-year-old brain, I didn't really know how to help, but I just went over and gave her a hug and asked if she's okay. And she said that she was, and she just needed a minute. Okay, but she was there for about 10 minutes crying on the couch by herself. Okay, and that I can safely say that's the only time I have ever seen my mum do that. It's the only time I've ever seen her feel sorry for herself. It's almost as if after that she just told herself that this is not going to hold me back, and that I have Jesus, I have God. He will give me the strength to make it through. I have hope in the future. I'm going to get a new body that isn't going to be subject to this decay, this suffering. It's not nice seeing your mum in that state, I have to say, but I can safely say that's the only time I've ever seen her like that, and her faith in God is what has given her that strength to make it through as far as she has to this day. God has blessed my mom so much along the way. The main blessing being my dad. If I had to explain my dad, I often say this about my dad: he's the biggest simp on planet Earth. And if you don't know what a simp is, I guess it's the modern term for typically the male in a relationship who pretty much says yes to everything the female wants. Absolutely everything. Just as long as they will keep dating the male, of course. Um, I also say my mum must have been way out of his league when they met, because he's been there for her every day throughout her journey. He quit his job and looked after my mum for about 15 years as she got sicker and sicker. And the love that they have for each other, I can't. You have to see it. I say it to people all the time. You just have to see it. Come and see it, because I can't explain it. And it only happens because of the journey that they have both been on. That Dad was 100% a preordained spouse for my mom, that they were going to be husband and wife. And it's just the most obvious piece of work of God that I've seen, like so obvious, and I'm so lucky that I did get to see it. Just a few days ago, actually, my dad told me, we were just sitting down on the couch, and he was just giving me some advice on stuff, just whatever, and then he said, just with tears in his eyes, that Mum has been the best thing that's ever happened to him. And he knew going into their marriage that there was a very high, 50% chance that Mum had Huntington's disease. But he went ahead with it anyway, like the simp that he is. He went ahead with it anyway, and he's been faithful to the task the entire time. And, I couldn't think of a more perfect match for those two. And my dad has given me a perfect example of what it is to sacrifice yourself for your wife, what it is to be a loyal, faithful husband. And very, very grateful for both of my parents. Everyone who sees my mom, they're in awe of her. She's an inspiration. She really is. People just wonder, how is this woman able to be so happy and positive, despite her situation of this disease, this thing that has just completely debilitated her to this point. How is she still able to be so happy and positive and laugh and smile? And people in church, they just want to come up and hold her hand. People who've cared for her over the years, they just sit and wonder, what is it? What's the difference? And I can tell you what the difference is. It's the Holy Spirit in her that radiates out, that she has this hope. Okay, she knows the truth. She knows where she's going. So she doesn't have to worry. She doesn't have to feel sorry for herself, that she is going through this stuff. And I said, yeah, she has her bad days, but for the most part, she has been such a happy, positive person and has done so much good in spite of this disease. Okay, and if I'm honest, Mum probably only has 1 to 2 years left in this life, okay, and then she will pass on. But it won't be a day of sadness for us. It won't be a depressing, like, yeah, we're gonna miss Mum so much, okay, but we're also so happy for her that she's escaped her body and she's finally been given a new one that isn't subject to decay. She's got a completely new body in the presence of God, where she's experiencing stuff that we can't even comprehend. We can't comprehend just how different the kingdom of God is. When you only know when you get there. And Mum's going to experience that very soon. I just want to close now just by sharing a video of my latest visit with my mum. And I just hope that gives you encouragement to thank God for everything that you have. Never, ever take anything for granted. Just know that, God is real. He is real. If you're listening to this, you're not a Christian. He's as real as the oxygen that we breathe. I say it all the time. And don't be stupid. Don't be stupid, okay? Ask yourself, what is this life about? That we have these bodies, we have this consciousness, we can experience these things, we can look out and see a beautiful sunset, beautiful scenery. Like, what is this? How did we get here? Okay? The truth is Jesus. That is the truth, okay? And don't buy into this nonsense where people will say, like, oh, well, okay, cool, that's your truth, but that's not mine. There is truth in the world. There is, okay? Anything else is a lie. All right? The devil, the father of lies. There is a truth. Jesus Christ is the truth. Don't be stupid. Don't miss out on what God is offering to you, this free, eternal gift of something that you're winning the lottery. Don't miss out. You're missing out on God when you choose to go along with the world. It's all empty, all right? It's all empty. I've lived that life. I lived that life. Like, I had enough of it. It was empty. It was lonely. Okay, I would have been a Christian my whole life if I could go back. Okay, to have that just ever-present peace in you that you can get through absolutely anything with God. Don't miss out on that. Okay? Anyway, I'll play the video now. Enjoy the video. Have a great day, and just hope you're all doing well. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turn into something beautiful. And you know, for you I bleed myself dry. For you I bleed myself dry.